episode number 45. Bobby Watson telling another little Rufus story from back in the day. So we were just getting started in Rufus. I think we had not done any tours yet, just some local shows, and went up to Seattle and played in Long Beach, just a few little gigs. But they were still making a lot more money than I made before I joined Rufus. And so the band was up and coming, and we were, getting tight and getting clothes to wear and, just really getting it together. And Otis Smith, who was the president of the Black division at ABC Records, really fell in love with Rufus. It was his new toy to play with, new money maker for the company. And so initially when Rufus signed with ABC Records, it was all the white guys, Dennis, Al, and Ron Stockard, and Andre, and Shaka, and Kevin, of course. So it was a different look. And although I think Otis loved the music, he didn't like how the band looked. It would be not something easy for him to promote. Being the Black division, all his people around the country are all, African American. All the venues, all the record shops, his whole setup was all R&B and Black. And now he had a white band, but the song "Tell Me Something Good" was great, and he loved it. So he was totally surprised when we all walked in his office. Andre called him and said, "Hey, I got some new guys in Rufus. The old guys quit. The band has a different look now." And Otis saw us and he was like, "Wow, now I can work with this." Because instead of Ron and Dennis and all the white guys, now he had Bobby Watson, Tony Maiden, and Nate Morgan. And we're all three Black guys. Nate with a big afro, and Tony and I, some kids from the hood. So Otis was delighted. And he went full head on trying to make "Tell Me Something Good" a big hit all across the country, everywhere. DC, Florida, Detroit. And, he had his people get right on it. Meantime, Otis decided to have an event for some of the people here in LA and some stars and, Diana Ross and all these people he invited. So we played at the Total Experience down the street from Mavericks, which was a nice club back then, between Mavericks and Total. Those were the two hottest joints to go to see music and to hang out for, movie stars, and regular people too. So we played one night at the Total Experience. I remember coming in seeing Gregory Hines and, "Hey, how you doing, brother?" And, he's just a sweet guy, just a pleasure to meet him. Had seen him on TV and everywhere. And there were other celebrities there too, but he kind of stood out for me. So we played our little set. We got out there and we were sliding around, having a good time. Shaka was singing her butt off. And after the show was over, we went back to the dressing room. And Otis came back, Otis Smith. Otis was cool. He had an afro. He looked like Link from the Mod Squad. He had a big afro and dark shades. He looked like he could have been Link's brother. So anyway, Otis comes back to the dressing room after the show, and we're all in there and we're excited. And he said, "Look, you guys are the bomb. I love the show tonight. I'd like for you guys to come to my office tomorrow. I want to have a little meeting with you because," he said, "after tonight, I don't want to see anybody else on the bus. I'm buying all your members in the band brand new cars. So overnight, think about what car you want. When you come in the morning, tell me what car you want, and I'll have the girl write it down, and we'll get those cars for you. And Tony and I were standing there like, what? we get whatever kind of car we want, like Rolls Royce or Volkswagen Beetle, whatever. They said, yeah, you whatever car. Think about it and tell us in the morning. So that was kind of like, for me, like, you know, when you're a kid growing up and you see, you know, famous musicians that have already made it, that are big time, and they got a fancy life and, you know, fancy house and cars and whatever, you know, clothing and style to go along with their lifestyle. I was thinking, wow, that's like a dream. So I'm in Rufus now, this band, and we're up and coming. And the first big thing that happens to me is Otis says, pick whatever kind of car you like, and I'm buying it for you, and you can drive. You know, you don't have to catch the bus anymore. And 4 or 5 of you come to rehearsal in one car, you know. So I just got so excited. And by the way, I picked a Porsche for my first car, and they got me a brand new Porsche, black. And you know, I can't remember all the details of the deliveries and everything, but Otis got us all cars. The surprising pick was, oh, by the way, of course, you know, all these cars are coming out of our royalties. They weren't free, so we were gonna have to pay for them later. But it was a nice gesture because, you know, to get a brand new car out of nowhere and boom, you know, it was still, you know, a nice gesture to have from the record company president. So the most surprising pick was, of course, Chaka Khan. I think she was 22 or something then, 21 or 22. And so she picked a Lincoln Continental, huge Lincoln Continental. I mean, the biggest car made in America. There was a TV show called Cannon, where this kind of chubby detective smoked a cigar, was like an earlier version of Columbo. Drove these big old, long, half a building length Lincoln Continental. And so Chaka picked a Lincoln, and they brought her a Lincoln. Andre got a Mercedes, a little 4-door sedan, which was beautiful. Mercedes was really hot back then. I got the Porsche, and I thought Tony and Kevin were going to pick something cool too. There's a lot of, you can pick anything you want, but they picked these Datsun 240Zs, which were new from Japan, but they were nice. I mean, they were nice design and good engines and fast and stuff like that, very stylish. But to me, they were like little, like they were too small, little cars, and didn't have the punch that, something like a Mercedes or, excuse me, a Ferrari or a Porsche has. Didn't have that punch, that exoticness. Anyway, they picked the 240Zs, and they got different colors. They didn't get the same colors, but I was kind of like, come on, guys. He said, any car you want. You pick these. But they were nice. So, yeah, that was kind of cool, having Otis offer us to, buy any car that we wanted for us. And that was just him saying, you guys are going to be a hit for ABC Records, and you're going to make the company money. And so I just want to, make you feel good about going into your careers, early into your careers, take some of the pressure off, and, just, keep you guys moving forward. And I loved it. I'll never forget that. Rufus had this manager, Barry Goldwater, I believe his name was, when they came from Chicago to LA. And things were happening and, starting to happen. And Andre was not happy with Barry Goldwater. Andre was kind of the leader, not kind of, he was the leader. He was making all the moves and setting up all the deals and doing the hiring and firing and taking care of Shaka and Kevin. Kevin had moved out and got his own place with his wife and 2 small kids. And Shaka came out, he made sure she had some place to stay until she could get on her feet. So Andre was doing everything. And so Andre was not happy with that guy, Goldwater, who was managing Rufus. He kind of didn't know the LA scene. He's from back east too, from the Midwest. And so I kept thinking about that, how Andre was not fully satisfied. And now we're starting to kind of pick up and leave the ground. And so before I got in Rufus, Tony and I played with Billy Preston. And I remember that Billy had this manager, Bob Ellis, who was the husband of Diana Ross. And he was good. I mean, he had Billy, he had this guy, Meatloaf, who was a big rock singer. And he also managed Ron Woods, who was, he's a guitar player for the Rolling Stones now for the last 40 years. But he was a guitar player in a group called Faces back then. And so Bob had kind of a nice little roster, and he had a great office up on Sunset Boulevard up there. And, I was like, Andre, man, I said, hey, why don't we get in touch with Bob and talk to him maybe. Goldwater's, I know how you're feeling about Goldwater. Let's talk to Bob, see what we could do. Bob knows, he's here in the present. He knows all the, the ins and outs of all the gigs and whatever's going on around LA in the music world. He's a top guy. We should talk to him. So I got Billy to give me Bob's number, and we went over to Bob's office, me and Andre, and we talked to Bob. And Bob said, yeah, I'm definitely interested because whatever reason, I don't know why he was interested. I believe it was Shaka and the band. I believe Bob's interest was that Rufus was a new upcoming band, and somehow he made some calls and found out that Otis Smith was like excited about having Rufus and was gonna blow them up. And Bob called us and said, yeah, you guys, I'll take you on. I'll be your manager. And best manager we ever had was Bob Ellis. I mean, didn't care about, my 15% off the top and give me this and give me that. He had money already, so he wasn't a hustling kind of manager. His wife was Diana Ross, he's, big time guy already. So that hustle part wasn't a part of his personality. Very smart about the business, knew a lot of people at the top. And Bob was a perfect choice. He took Rufus along with Otis Smith and put the band on the map. I believe those 2 guys were responsible for Rufus being such a big success after Tell Me Something Good came out. And the other thing too is Bob managed run. This is a little side story for me. Bob managed Ron Woods, and I was in the office one day, and Ron Woods came in, and he had some guitars with him, and I said, man, what are those? And he said, oh, check this out. I got Bob got me an endorsement with Gibson, because of the Faces and my touring. And he showed me all these Gibson guitars. I was like, dang, Bob, Bob Ellis, get me an endorsement. So Ron Woods and Bob Ellis took me over to meet the Gibson guys, and they gave me a brand new Birdland. Oh man, that's the most beautiful guitar I'd ever seen in my life. And it was mine for free. So I got that Gibson endorsement from Ron Woods and Bob. Later on, Rufus did we did a couple of albums, 2-3 albums after that. And then we did our best album, which in my opinion is the best Rufus album ever recorded, is Ask Rufus. And so when we were doing Ask Rufus and we were cutting the tracks, I had an idea for an instrumental, just like a A-flat jamming in A-flat. And I actually called the song A-flat Fry. And I called Ron Woods to come play guitar on it. And he came over to the studio, and we had laid, me and Andre and Tony had laid the track. And Ron came, and I grabbed my Gibson, and Ron and I both played on top of the track, laid 2 extra guitars on top. And man, we had so much fun that day recording at Kendon Recorders. That's a great memory of mine, playing with Ron Woods from the Rolling Stones on my song that I wrote. It's called A-flat Fry. And actually, somebody at the record company thought that we had enough songs with vocals, and that A-flat Fry was going to take away the time needed for the rest of the songs. So they just made like a 10-second clip of it, a little jam, a little bit of a jam, 8 to 10 seconds, and put it on there. And did the same thing with one of Hawk's tunes too. That was a little thing, and they made a short version of it. So I didn't get the whole song on there. So, but it was a great little tune. So the only thing that bugged me about Ron Woods coming to the Kendon recording studio that day was he brought his wife, his girlfriend. I don't know if they were married, but he brought this girl with him, his old lady, and she was like, she was like 8 months pregnant. She had a big belly, and nice girl, but sometime during the session when it got dark, we pulled out some drugs, and I hope that people from my church are not listening to this. I'm changed now, I promise. But we pulled out some drugs, and we started sniffing, and she got down there and stood up going, "Oh my God, this girl's got a baby, and she's still getting high with us." I thought that was really bad. He should have said, I should have said, "Hey, miss, no, don't," But nobody said anything, so she was just hanging out, and I hope the baby's okay. I don't know. I never found out anything after that, but that was bad. That's a bad memory I have from that Ron Woods recording session, but he's still around. He's still in the Rolling Stones. And I'm still in Rufus, what's left of it. Oh, okay, guys, that's it, guys and girls, and all you people who watch my videos. I really appreciate you. And there's more stories. I'll be talking and posting and putting them up for you to see as soon as I can remember them and write them down. All right, thanks.